move into, I'll give you a choice. Either how, well, we should do both of these, but how the Russian bounty story, which is what I said a week ago, and here we are. I mean, it's just hilarious. Within days of, everyone running around with their hair on fire, Rachel Maddow devoted, I think, 13 hours of her 1-hour show to covering the Russian bounty story, and about how Russia was paying bounties to the Taliban to kill American soldiers, except that the Taliban is always trying to kill American soldiers. That's what they do. And also the fact that we pay the Taliban, and there's been multiple articles on Redacted tonight. I covered some of these articles, but the Nation did one in 2009 about how we fund the Taliban. There was recently a lawsuit, 400 people, I believe the families of soldiers, maybe dead soldiers, sued U.S. military contractors who were paying the Taliban as well, because they said they sued them for paying the Taliban because you're helping, you basically helped kill our soldier sons and daughters and things. And anyway, the New York Times in page A19 on a Friday, which if you want to know what the New York Times does not want you to see, it's on A19 on a Friday. All right. They really wanted you to take a good long look at that story. And they put it off as the Trump administration, blah, blah, blah. But within the article, if you actually look at it and actually think about it like an adult human, they're saying that there's no evidence of anything. These are anonymous sources. The intel was even by some of our intel agencies, I believe the NSA, said they had low confidence in the. I mean, if this was said by an Afghan Taliban member at all, it was said while their balls were hooked up to an electric car battery, to a car battery. And they were like, yeah, the Russians are paying us please just stop pushing that button. I mean, that is the only evidence they have of anything. And anyway, it's all just collapsing. And I think that's why most media outlets have basically stopped talking about it. But I did see a moment on MSNBC today where they were like, look, this story is not going away, and Russia paid the Taliban. And I'm like, no, it is mostly going away because it was complete horseshit.
Well, I saw Aaron Matei tweet this. He saw some other mainstream person say, oh, Russia paid the Taliban. So it's almost like they did their job. They got it just enough out there that the majority of the people who are not paying that much attention, or just the neoliberals who hate Trump no matter what and will listen to anything that says Trump is bad. Just whatever, if all Fox News has to say is, Bernie's a socialist, or AO's, hey, socialist, they're going to be the next Stalin or whatever, then they do the same thing. So enough people believe,
Yes, I should actually correct myself. When I said this story is going away, I meant that a lot of outlets have stopped covering it because they're quietly realizing how flimsy it is. But in terms of whether it did its job, you're absolutely right. It did what they wanted, what they had hoped it would do. And that's a few things. One, it's always good to reheat up the Cold War when you're afraid the Cold War is getting a little too cold. You just turn on the burner and you get it going, get it nice and warm again. And there was a reason that needed to happen. That needed to happen because Trump, who is not Mr. Peacenik, all right? So this is a guy who's allowed the military to drop more bombs than even Obama. But he is in certain areas of the world going against the military-industrial complex, and he wanted to bring 10,000 of our 35,000 troops home from Germany, which is considered kind of, close to Russia, or one of our front lines against Russia. And so they needed to heat up the Cold War with Russia so that those troops would not be brought home from Germany. Also, there's been this quasi push for a peace plan in Afghanistan with the Taliban, and bringing troops home from there, and this ended all of that as well. So this succeeded with what the deep state, the military-industrial complex wanted, which is no troops are coming home from fucking anywhere. And you get the kind of Trump's being too easy on Russia thing. When in fact, if you actually look at what he's done to Russia, like the diplomats that have been expelled and the sanctions and shit, he's been worse to Russia far worse than Obama has, far worse than like Bush was. So the idea that, Trump is Mr. Nice Guy to Russia doesn't even hold up. But you're right. It achieved what it wanted. And there was actually, this was hilarious. The Reuters put out an article about how a new Reuters poll shows that 80% of Americans believe Russia paid the Taliban to kill American soldiers. So basically, this is an article of Reuters and the other mainstream media saying, here's a poll showing that our fake story worked.
Yeah.
Look at how well it worked.
Our fake story really hit the charts today, ladies and gentlemen. Had good movement on the fake story today. There's the fake story meter. It really
and still at number one for the fourth week in a row. It is Russia paid the Taliban.
We should do that. Just the propaganda, the Billboard propaganda top 20, ladies and gentlemen. How are we going to pay for it? Drop down a few slots after the CARES Act, but Russia paid the Taliban, screaming up to number one.
And Russia paid the Taliban. It dropped down to number 5, but it surges back up to number 1 with, some new false info that has just dropped.
Oh, thanks to the American people for only just reading sound bites and memes to get their news. Keep this one skyrocketing into the slots.
I mean, really, I think that why 80% of America believes that is because you give them reports where they're like, I want to believe that. So, okay.
Well, that's it. I want to believe it. I want to believe it. It makes me feel good. Trump and Russia are their buddies. And there we go. And it's just like, so.
Well, and anyone who wants to, I mean, the idea that, this makes what's going on in Afghanistan bad because Russia is paying the Taliban to kill Americans. It's like, no, everything that's gone on in Afghanistan for 20 years has been bad, okay? The Washington Post actually did a massive story that got very little coverage a year ago, the Afghanistan papers, that showed that multiple administrations, Bush, Obama, Trump, have all been lying out their asses about what's going on in Afghanistan. There's been no progress. There's no hope of quote unquote winning. The troops over there know, most of them know, there's no hope of quote unquote winning because there is no goal to win. It's just like go village to village and maybe kill a few people. There's like, I mean, Mike Preisner, who served in Iraq and works with the Empire Files, he said that a lot of troops are, they'll say they're going out on their mission and then they just hide in the bushes for 3 days and then come back and say they did their mission because they realize it's A, hopeless, and B, pointless. It's both hopeless and pointless.
Wow.
And so they're looking after their own asses because they realize how hopeless this thing is and how ridiculous it is. And if anybody wants the full history of our intentional catastrophe in Afghanistan, watch the Empire Files. They just put out a new episode on the Afghanistan war. But
yeah, it's just a standard like great distraction. We're all arguing over did Russia do this or this. We're not going, why are we still in Afghanistan? No one is saying that. No one is asking that question. That's what we should be saying. I don't even give it. Look, if Russia did pay him, who gives a shit? We're out of there. The whole goal. Okay, Taliban's bad. Great, we got the Taliban out of power. We should be talking about, wow, look how well we've rebuilt Afghanistan, like we did Europe and Japan. Oh wow, after World War II, that's what it should. Because
we don't want it rebuilt. Right. Rebuilt means power.
Yeah.
Rebuilt means that someone could come into power there that is not our puppet, and all of a sudden you have a powerful country that is not our puppet. So we're much better off with just a collapsed country where we can exploit the minerals, exploit the opium, and maybe one day put in pipelines and not worry that country will ever side with Iran and actually stand up to American empire.
Yeah. God forbid we all those trillions of dollars we spent in Afghanistan. God forbid we spend it on roads and hospitals and schools and because we can't do that. We don't even spend that on our own country. So why would we spend it on them when, we're busy tear gassing and beating up our own citizens and killing them? We need to do that around the world. Yay.
Well, there could be, you could talk maybe the American government into building hospitals in Afghanistan because they've run out of targets. So maybe they could build some hospitals.
Yes.
Drones are getting bored. Okay. The drones are They're really getting bored out there.
They can't hit because we've blown up everything. What are they supposed to do? That's not fair. And the drone guys need jobs. Like this is insane. Like we end the war. Like Wolf Blitzer said several years ago, if we cut down all the military, where are all these war jobs going to go? Oh, God forbid they do things that actually better society. We couldn't have that. It's just like
we stop all the serial murdering. Where are the serial murderers going to go?
Yeah, we're going to put those guys out of work. Like, that's how's Ted Bundy going to pay his bills?
That's what I've always said about all these trials against rapists. If they succeed, what are the rapists going to do with their time? Exactly. They need a hobby. I mean, fuck you, assholes! Fucking,
God, they're fucking
can't stand up for ending war because of the jobs it creates.
The logic is insane. It is insane, and they say it with a straight face, and then we're called the crazy problems. Like, it's madness. We
gotta wrap. Yeah, we gotta wrap up, I guess. But I'll have to save for next week. I want to talk about oil pipelines and oil companies. They're all collapsing. It's beautiful to see.
Everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.